For 7 grueling days, Michelle endured unspeakable sexual abuse at the hands of 2 twisted predators, surviving under the constant threat of death.
She was taken into this house, strapped down to the bed.
I'm thinking I'm gonna die.
Instead, Michelle was set free, unable to identify her attackers or where they kept her. For 2 years, the case was dead. Then, Detective Bruce Parks received a call about 17-year-old Andrea Hood, who also claimed she had been abducted and raped by 2 men.
The crime was so bizarre. And what she was telling us about the bars, inside the windows, on the inside.
What did she say?
She said that it was like a house of horrors.
But there was one big difference. Andrea was able to escape by breaking out one of the windows without bars.
She's running down the street with no clothes on,
Yeah.
blood
All over her
all
legs
over
and her
her.
arms, and she's screaming and yelling.
A neighbor heard Andrea's screams and brought her inside and called police. Cops easily locate the house where Andrea was held in the Portland suburb of Hillsborough. The 2 men living there are Vance Roberts and his younger half-brother, Paul Jackson, who claim they didn't kidnap Andrea at all. In fact, they were only trying to help her.
Says, no, this girl, we thought she was homeless, we were trying to help her out, and she went crazy, tried to steal some money, and jumped out our window, and they had just a...
They had a different story than what she was telling.
Exactly.
Armed with a warrant and a camera, Detective Parks takes a tour of the suburban slave cave.
Now we're going to be entering into the kitchen area.
They immediately find proof. Andrea's telling the truth.
And here we've got, as indicated by the victim, bars on the inside of the window.
They even find a Polaroid of the teenage victim.
And on the refrigerator, identified by Officer Erickson as the victim of the sexual assault, as mentioned by her, that was taken of her and was on the kitchen. Okay, I'm now going down the hallway toward to the master bedroom. According to her, this is where she was contained, or where the crimes occurred. Here you also see the bars on the windows in the bedroom that she talked about that kept her from leaving. Got a pair of handcuffs right there on the dresser. That's the victim's white t-shirt. That's a fitted diaper. Okay.
In her statement, Andrea tells police, quote, "They kept making me change my panties." Cops found evidence of that too.
Also in the top drawer, we've got several more. Are they brand new?
Like brand new, some of them are used.
Okay.
Detectives also uncover graphic magazines featuring rape and bondage.
Andrea talked about how they asked her to say over and over again to them, "I love you." How twisted is that you kidnap a 17-year-old girl from the streets of Portland, imprison her where she doesn't know where she is in a house with bars on the windows, rape her, tase her and electrocute her, and then demand that she say, "I love you."
Okay, now we're going back into what the victim called the closet area that they were remodeling and with soundproofing, what they said they were going to keep her.
I mean, it literally is a scene from a horror movie. A woman chained to a bed, trying to extricate herself, while 2 men are 10 feet away, hammering soundproofing up in their torture chamber so no one will hear her screams.
At that point, I just knew that if I ever got in that closet, I might not ever be seen or heard from again.
You see, here's the chains that are hanging from the ceiling.
24 hours into her captivity, Andrea risked her life on a daring escape.
They kept wanting her to read a book, How to Be a Good Girl. And she finally realized the only way she was going to get one handcuff off was to say, "Okay, I'll read your book." So they took off one restraint so she pretended like she was reading the book. At the meantime, while they were going in and out of the room working, she managed to slip off the other cuff and then her leg restraints, and then she ran for that room.
One of the guys was yelling, get her, she can't get away."
she was able to run and exit this bedroom by going out a window. She said she literally broke the window out with a gun and then flew out it.
She cut herself up pretty good, and we later learned that one of the suspects, which was Vance Roberts, he actually cut himself up pretty good as well on that window.
And this is the window from the outside. The curtain's still hanging outside. The screen is off, as well as glass.
Vance Roberts and Paul Jackson are placed under arrest, but Detective Parks has a potential bombshell on his hands. Was he dealing with serial sexual perverts?
During the search of the house, we found a lot more Polaroid pictures of other women bound, handcuffed, hanging in the hallway, on the bed.
This wasn't their first time.
It wasn't their first time.
Who are these women? Did they suffer an even worse fate? For help identifying them, Parks turns to veteran Portland beat cop Harry Jackson.
I was contacted by Sergeant Parks, and he had a number of photographs, and a certain name came up, and it says, I know this lady here.
You knew one of the women?
Yes, and that's Michelle.
And then he says, you know, I remember her telling me a couple of years ago about being kidnapped off the streets, held as a sex slave for a week, and then released back into Portland.
It was kind of devastating for me because I realized for 2 years after Michelle had reported that to me, that things were still going on there and that she had a legitimate complaint.
For years, Michelle never thought she would get justice until one call changed everything.
Harry Jackson identified me, and that's what led Bruce to me.
Bruce Parks showed Michelle a photo lineup to see if she could pick out the suspects.
She looked at it, she picked out both of them immediately and started crying because she says, no one ever believed me. No one ever believed me that what these guys did to me, and you know, here you are.
You believed her.
And I did.
While still trying to determine the fate of the other victims in the Polaroids, prosecutors prepare their case against the suspects. But on the eve of the trial, while out on bail, the brothers simply vanish.
They were gone.
They were gone. And now I've turned from the investigation of trying to find other victims to find them.
Trying to find the suspects.
Yeah, exactly.
Up next, a nationwide manhunt.
And we fielded tips all over the country.
But these two dirtbags have gone underground.
Lots of people thought Paul Jackson was dead.